evening. Good evening. Happy Saturday, perhaps happy Sunday, depending where you are on the globe. Welcome, member Elaine Channel. Welcome, Leonia. How are you? Welcome, DXN TV. And welcome to those that will come in later and catch the replay. This broadcast will be discussing healthcare, and it will focus on insured, meaning those of you that may be insured or may not be insured. There is a poll if you would like to answer, and the question is, do you have health insurance? Now, of course, you don't have to answer that if you are uncomfortable. Totally understood. Just gauging some clarity and where most of us are. Now, before I begin, let me present, as I normally do, my disclaimers. First one, the Fair Use Act disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which states, allowance is made for fair use of copyrighted material for purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, education, teaching, and/or scholarship. It provides for the legal, non-licensed citation and/or incorporation of copyrighted material by others, which might be infringing under other circumstances. And next we have my viewer discretion disclaimer. The following broadcast contains mature themes and situations. It is intended for adults. Viewer discretion is advised. So again, we're going to be discussing, I'll be discussing, and those that would like to add by any comments, and I'll drop the link later if anyone would like to share any other information, you will be welcome. And Sana, how are you? Happy Saturday to you, or perhaps Sunday. So the first bit of information I'm going to share is, why are people uninsured? And also, I'd like to implore everyone to do your own independent research. There are many different resources out there. These are just a few slides that I'm going to present. Again, why are people uninsured? And feel free to leave your comments if you would like to these slides. Despite policy efforts to improve the affordability of coverage, many uninsured people cite the high cost, and you can see that in bold. They cite the high cost of insurance as the main reason they lack coverage. In 2021, 64%, again, 64% of uninsured adults said they were uninsured because the cost of coverage was too high. And I'll see if there's any comments that may agree or disagree with that statement. Hey there, member Life Journey. Welcome. Blue Jean, welcome. And Leonia, welcome. Everyone, welcome my members. Elaine Channel earlier, and Life Journey. And I'll put Life back up really quickly. Hi there, Pure Heart. How are you? Hi, Life. How are you? I'm not sure what time it is there. It is 6:30 here. So again, the question is, why are people uninsured? Any thoughts you may have with that? And according to this particular source, in 2021, 64% of uninsured adults said that they were uninsured because the cost of coverage was too high. I'll make sure everyone has their tools shortly. Next slide. Age. And again, feel free to leave your comments, whether you agree, disagree, or you have no opinion. 3/4 of uninsured adults 18 to 64, while 1/4 of the uninsured are children. Compared with other age groups, young adults are more likely to go without coverage. Again, as it relates to age, 3/4 of the uninsured are adults, ages 18 to 64, while 1/4 of the uninsured are children. Compared with other age groups, young adults are the most likely to go without coverage. And let me see. This comment is, hi there, and welcome, member Young Riaz. How are you? Your thoughts, if you'd like to add what you think about that comment. As far as uninsured, that's what the topic of tonight is. Health coverage, lack thereof. And next, which is the last one, your thoughts on this slide, which states most of the 27.5 million people who are uninsured are non-elderly adults. Let me read that back. Most of the 27.5 million people who are uninsured are non-elderly adults. Not elderly, non-elderly adults. In working families, in families with low income, and 6 in 10 are people of color, reflecting a geographic variation in income and the availability of public coverage. Most uninsured people live in the South or West. Again, always, always, always do your own research. And let me see what this comment is. Okay, Young Riaz says he is good. So again, I just put up 3 slides. I'll put them up really quickly again. And if you'd like, in the comment section, you can leave your thoughts as to, number 1, why are people uninsured? And your thoughts if the reason that people cite, which is the high cost of insurance. Next, age. 3/4 of the uninsured are adults between the ages of 18 and 64. And compared with other age groups, young adults are the most likely to go without insurance. And then lastly, most of the 27.5 million people who are uninsured are non-elderly adults in working families and families with low incomes, and 6 in 10 are people of color. So those are the 3 talking points. I would like to gauge your opinions if you would like to leave them. And we'll continue on with a couple of videos. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that prompted me to do this particular live, because I believe healthcare and coverage is very important, but because of a recent story that I did on Olympic gymnast Mary Lou Retton. And basically, hey there, Black Edits, how are you? Welcome. Make sure you all visit the members that are here, Elaine Channel, Life Journey, and Young Riaz. And Black Edits, you're just coming in, I'm talking about insurance, health insurance. And there's a poll for those if you would like to answer, and your thoughts on the lack of healthcare insurance by people. And as I was mentioning, what prompted me to actually do this broadcast was a video that I did on Olympic icon Mary Lou Retton, who at the beginning of last week was and still is in ICU. And the story came out that she was fighting for her life, being diagnosed with a rare form of pneumonia. But sadly, as the excellent, you're one of the lucky ones. But sadly, her family, according to reports, again, do your research, had to ask for donations to help with healthcare expenses because she was not covered, or she is not covered as of today, even though she is still in ICU. Updates show, again, do your research, that she is doing remarkably well despite her earlier prognosis, which was not good. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a moment. And this is not intended to slight anyone or any type of health situation. We do know that for many of us, this is the fall season. There are colds going around, viruses, sniffles, the flu, pneumonia, all of those things. And trust me, I understand upper respiratory. We also know, or should know, that sometimes media may omit or how stories are perceived could be different. And when I first heard about it, and I still feel very bad because, as I said, that's one of my idols as far as gymnastics are concerned. I just thought it odd. And again, after I show one of these videos, it may not be so odd that someone who achieved so much would not have health insurance. Now, some of the reasons I believe some may not get that, as far as athletes are concerned, perhaps because they've never had any health issues, never thought that a emergency health issue would arise. That's what insurance is for. It's the same for your home and your auto. It's just in case something happens. But also, we have to keep in mind that with today's economy and with everything that has skyrocketed, there are people that still have to make hard decisions when it comes to either getting medications that they need or shopping. So there are a lot of variables. So again, for those that are just coming in, I'm going to put up a few little slides, and if you have comments, please go ahead and leave them before I go on to the videos. And again, thank you to everyone that's come in. Okay, those are the 3 slides that I have. Everyone, please make sure that you visit my members at the pin. And thank you to everyone that supports this channel and continues to support this channel. You're truly appreciated. And I'm checking to make sure everyone has their tool before I continue to go on. All right, perfect. And Elaine's channel was in here earlier. I'm not sure if she'll come back or not, but she's also a member. So welcome, members, and thank you. Thank you, Black Edits. If you like the content, hit the Cash App. Hit the Cash App. No, I'm just joking. Seriously, I'm really joking. I think this is a very, very important subject. So without further delay, let me hopefully share this screen. And this goes, I thought you'd enjoy that one. This is going to be a quick video that speaks about celebrities who passed away broke. Sad, but true. Let me know if everyone is able to hear this. And hopefully it will not give me issues. Again, fair use. And thank you to everyone that's come in. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already.
Imagine what life would be like for a Hollywood star. Think of glamour, glam, and as much money as they could ever possibly want. When A-list celebrities appear in movies, television series, or even advertising, the production companies pay them enormous sums of money. These celebrities frequent the most upscale and exclusive clubs, indulge in pricey beverages, and dress in the most exquisite garments. It is far too easy to make the assumption that anyone with such a high status will continue to be tremendously wealthy throughout their entire life. However, this is not the situation at all. There are a number of famous people who are taken aback when they get their first substantial check for their work in a movie or television show. When your annual salary is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's easy to fool yourself into thinking that you'll never run out of money. As a direct result of this, many superstars have wasted away their wealth on a luxury lifestyle without having any concept of the repercussions of their actions. If they make this kind of wasteful spending a habit, then even the most distinguished role won't be able to bring in enough money for them to stay afloat. Today, we're going to look at some celebrities who sadly couldn't keep their spending in check and died in enormous amounts of debt because of it. Sammy Davis Jr. was born in 1925 and died in 1990. The musician confided in his buddies, "I don't owe money to anyone who needs it. declaring that he was free from any financial obligations. The truth of the matter is that his tax debt to the government reached almost $15 million. Sammy was a member of the Rat Pack and had a yearly income of more than $1 million. He lived a life of luxury and was compelled to sing in order to keep the bills paid. Davis passed away on May 16, 1990, at the age of 64, from complications stemming from throat cancer. He was laid to rest in the Glendale, California location of Forest Lawn Memorial Park. As a mark of respect, on May 18, 1990, which was just 2 days after he passed away, the neon lights along the Las Vegas Strip were dimmed for 10 minutes in memory of the beloved singer. Marvin Gaye's father put an end to his son's life when he shot him during an argument. A disagreement was taking place between the singer's parents, and he was trying to resolve it. And unfortunately, during his life, he was unable to keep up with his financial obligations due to his long-term addiction and pricey divorce. At the time of his passing, the recording artist was said to have had a negative net worth of $9 million, as reported by Celebrity Net Worth. A significant portion of his negative net worth could be attributed to the fact that he owed back taxes to the IRS. By the time his life was over, he had racked up a total of $9.2 million in debt. Thankfully, however, Gaye's executors, with the assistance of a competent bankruptcy attorney, were able to save the singer's most valuable asset, his intellectual property. Nicknamed The Voice, she is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with over 200 million records sold worldwide. In 2023, Rolling Stone named her the second greatest singer of all time. But unfortunately, by the time Whitney Houston's body was discovered in a hotel room in Los Angeles, she had racked up about $4 million in outstanding bills and obligations. The combination of her dependence on opioids and her lavish way of life led to the collapse of her financial situation. She reportedly blew her last $1 million on some of the most upscale hotels in Sydney, Paris, and London, as reported by Fox News. Michael Jackson was allegedly millions of dollars in debt when he died in 2009. The topic broke during Jackson's 2013 wrongful death trial. A forensic accountant, William R. Ackerman, alleged Jackson was forced to pay annual debt payments of $30 million. Where his money went exactly, Ackerman explained, was to interest from the debt he'd acquired, along with lavish expenses. He spent a lot of money on jewelry, Ackerman laughed during the trial. Jackson received royalties from his music catalog annually, but it wasn't enough to keep him out of debt. The musician's extreme debt started in 1994 and quickly grew. When he died, Jackson was around $500 million in debt. Much of Jackson's wealth, Ackerman explained, went into the funding and upkeep of his famous Neverland Ranch. The estate was not only Jackson's home, but served as an amusement park for children in the area. Jackson would constantly be found on the ranch watching children, having slumber parties and movie days with the young visitors. On the property, Jackson had 2 internal train lines and a train station building with a 50-seat movie theater. He also had his own zoo on the property. The animals were exotic, including tigers, elephants, and a monkey, Jackson's personal pet named Bubbles. But how things have changed. Michael Jackson's estate is now one of the highest paid, with estimated earnings of $75 million. Since his death, his estate has received over $800 million in income through his music. George Best was a professional footballer who spent most of his club career at Manchester United, earning a small fortune. A highly skillful dribbler, he is considered as one of the greatest players of all time. His life was legendary, and not always for the right reasons. When his doctor told him that he was 1 pint of beer away from dying, the footballer started ordering half pints. He was quite generous in the bar as well, and he bought rounds for everyone, even strangers. The footballer summed up his wild spending with this comment: "I spent most of my fortune on women and alcohol, the rest I wasted." Sadly, Best passed away at the age of 59, flat broke. Judy Garland was raised in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. She was initially born Frances Ethel Gum. She got her start in the entertainment profession at a young age due to the fact that both of her parents were performers. Garland began her career as a singer, performing alongside her 2 elder sisters. She then transitioned into the acting industry. Garland had starring roles in a variety of movies and musicals. But the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz is probably the one that brought her the most fame. Her career was successful, but she struggled with substance abuse and financial difficulties for much of its duration. The IRS took control of her property at the time of her passing in 1969. She had approximately $4 million in outstanding bills. The story of Corey Haim is a sad, cautionary tale about the perils of being a child actor who achieves massive stardom and fortune at a young age. After earning nearly $5 million and getting older, the Toronto-born actor couldn't find work, leading to unemployment, depression, and drug addiction, forcing him to eventually file for bankruptcy. When he died at age 38 from pneumonia, he was living in his mother's Los Angeles apartment. She was forced to sell some of his personal belongings to a Hollywood memorabilia shop in order to raise the money to pay for his funeral. Erin Moran, who is best known for her role as Joni Shortcake Cunningham on the famous 1970s sitcom Happy Days, appeared to be on the verge of making a successful transition from child star to adult actor when she and co-star Scott Baio quit the show to spin off their characters in a new program called Joni Loves Chachi. The show was canceled after only 2 seasons, and she never really got over the loss of her gig. Her subsequent years were spent in a downward spiral of substance abuse and alcoholism, culminating in the foreclosure of her California house by the bank in 2010. She spent her final years living in an Indiana trailer park until she passed away from cancer in 2017. Billie Holiday is widely considered as one of the greatest jazz vocalists of all time. Nonetheless, her life was riddled with personal sorrow and substance addiction. Because of her frequently confused state, her managers and promoters were able to take advantage of her and cheat her out of what would be millions of dollars in today's money. In 1959, the year when Holiday passed away from cirrhosis of the liver, she had only $700 to her name. Joe Louis was a professional boxer who competed from 1934 to 1951. Nicknamed the Brown Bomber, Louis is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential boxers of all time. He reigned as the world heavyweight champion from 1937 until his temporary retirement in 1949. He was victorious in 25 consecutive title defenses, a record for all weight classes, and had the longest single reign as champion of any boxer in history, a legend in the ring and a trusting and giving person outside of it. Raised in a rough Detroit suburb, he did not indulge in an excessive number of luxuries for himself, except to pay off his relatives' debts. But his generosity led him to ruin, with many people taking advantage of his good nature. He spent the last 30 years of his life in absolute poverty, with a debt that was close to $1 million.
Okay, your thoughts on that video. Why do you think that all of those celebrities passed away as paupers or broke? And let me make sure I get all the comments up. And again, thank you to the members that are here and those that are participating. And I see you. Marie, how are you? Kevin, how are you? Trending Jade, how are you? Again, member, Life Journey, greetings. Dubs, how are you on this Saturday? Thank you for coming by. And Dubs made a comment. It is high, but the better insurance you have, the faster they'll see you in ER. Unfortunately, America is a capitalistic society. So I'm going to star that. And DXN. And those of you that have come in, the majority of you have jackets already to network, but please do not just arbitrarily drop your links until I say go ahead and drop your links, everyone. Normally I do that, but on some of these broadcasts, I do not want the chat and those that are actually paying attention to the content to be swayed, so to speak, or disrupted. So again, I don't mind everyone to network, but at least give me the opportunity to say, okay, everyone, drop your links. Hey there, Melly, how are you? We're talking about health insurance and the lack of health insurance. And my question was your thoughts on that video with all of the celebrities, some of them child stars that passed away without a penny to their name. And as I mentioned earlier, this was prompted by the story of Olympic icon Mary Lou Retton, who I did a story on earlier this week, who has been in ICU fighting a rare pneumonia. But what I found sad, and looking at it a little bit more, hey there, the enemy's public, how are you? Respect to you as well, sir. And I think you are modded up as well. How her family, her daughters, basically had to ask for the public to help fund her medical expenses. Do you think that some of us feel as though celebrities should be fully insured, not just their homes or their vehicles or jewelry? And that is not a shot or a slight to anyone, but we do know that many do have their jewelry insured. Do they not think about their health as well? Or do you feel as though because of their financial situations that, and perhaps current health situations, they may not need health insurance? I've said this so many times. You never know when something unexpected can occur. The government, for those of you that feel as though you have to rely on the government, some of you may work for the government, and I'll just tiptoe away from that. But burial expenses and what they provide isn't much at all. Costs to prepare for homegoing and transitioning is not cheap. It's actually extremely expensive. Thank God that my mother, who did not have a formal education, but she knew how to handle business, had everything taken care of when she passed away, and both myself and my brother were taken care of today because she knew how to handle her money. And not only that, she prepared. She prepared. So again, my question, how are all of these celebrities passing away basically penniless? And again, back to the Mary Lou Retton situation. Again, 55 years old. She was an athlete. Unfortunately, she, according to the media, let me say that, according to the media, has been diagnosed with a rare form of pneumonia. And the story at first was she was fighting for her life. Today's update, she's still in ICU, but has made remarkable strides. Again, not downplaying anything, but we have to be cognizant of how our media may omit or convey certain stories. Your thoughts? And Doug says, health is wealth, in my opinion. You have to invest in full coverage and put down all the bad habits that can lead you to having to use it in the first place. Invest in your body for longevity. Awesome comment, and I'll read it again to those who may just be listening or may catch the replay. Thank you, Dubs. Dubs says, health is wealth, in my opinion. You have to invest in full coverage and put down all the bad habits that can lead to you having to use it in the first place. Invest in your body for longevity. Awesome, Dubs. Thank you so much. Hey, Ryder. Everyone, welcome, member. Ryder. And go ahead and pin that. How are you, Ryder? Hopefully you have something to add to this. Black has decided to keep his little emoji mouth closed. The enemy's public says, people put the best gas in their vehicles and the worst so-called food in their bodies. That's frivolous and not proper prioritizing. Say that again to your neighbor. Turn to your neighbor and say that again. The enemy's public, welcome enemy's public, says, people put the best gas in their vehicles and the worst so-called foods in their bodies. That's frivolous and not proper prioritizing. Melly says, I loved her back in the 80s. Life journey. And Riaz is speaking. Everyone is speaking. Yes. Okay. Again, welcome to all of the members that are here. Appreciate you all. Make sure that you keep your notification bells on because I will be having a members only giveaway soon. So keep your bells on. And the enemy's public says a $200,000 chain and no insurance is impossible. Absolutely. I'll be dropping my link after the next video for anyone that may want to come up and share your thoughts on health insurance. And for those that have just come in, quickly I'm going to revisit what I put up earlier. Why are people uninsured? Despite policy efforts to improve the affordability of coverage, many uninsured people cite the high cost of insurance as the main reason they lack coverage. In 2021, 64% of uninsured adults said they were uninsured because the coverage was too high. Your thoughts on that? Next, as it relates to age, 3/4 of the uninsured are adults between the ages of 18 and 64, while 1/4 of the uninsured are children. Compared with other age groups, young adults are the most likely to go without coverage. And lastly, most of the 27.5 million who are uninsured are non-elderly adults in working families and families with low incomes, and 6 and 10 are people of color, reflecting geographic variation in income and the availability of public coverage. Most uninsured people live in the South or West. Again, I implore you to do your research on those statistics, and you have opportunity to go ahead and leave your thoughts to those, and make sure that you hit the like button as you come in, please. And we'll go to the next video momentarily. Just wanted to make sure that everyone has their information up. Again, welcome to my members that are at the pin. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. And thank you to everyone that's come in and left their comments. We truly appreciate it. All right. Fair use. Here's another video. And this is courtesy of YouTube and the U.S. health insurance system. Please let me know if the audio and video is good. And we'll continue.
This isn't political. This is just about people and caring about people. If you're wondering, like, continue, like what? Well, for starters, I am a nurse practitioner and my husband is a software engineer, and we cannot afford to have health insurance next year unless we change jobs or win the lottery, because it's $26,000 for real, for 1 year. For next year, it's $26,000. Now, let's take a look at how that happens and how this is happening everywhere in this country to so many people, and this is not okay. All right, welcome. What an entrance. If you're new here, I'm Liz. I am a family nurse practitioner, and I spent 3 years working in primary care before I left because I literally just could not handle how much insurance, one, dictated how I could do my job. It had me giving like unethical care and just dictated everything I needed to do. And two, I couldn't handle how no one could afford the suggestions that I made or the treatments I recommended or the treatments they desperately needed because they couldn't afford it, either because they didn't have insurance or they had insurance, but they couldn't afford the deductible, which is what you need to pay in order to have your insurance company start paying for anything in your healthcare. So I left primary care a few months ago in an absolute rage, and have now decided to try to raise awareness for this so I can do something with my rage, and so that you can be just as mad as me and that we can change our healthcare system, because it is not working. Okay. It is not, as someone who's worked in it for years, it is not working. So when did this start to not work, and why isn't this a problem for other countries? So for this, we're going to actually go back and we're going to take a historical perspective. We're going to go back a wee bit. So let's go take a look. In ye olden times, when people got sick, doctors came to people's houses, and then the people paid the doctors. And there were very few hospitals. Most of them were run by churches, but they were really mostly, honestly, just good at killing you faster than you would have probably died if you were at home, because the scientific process wasn't sorted out. They were trying to figure out everything out. They hadn't figured out germ theory yet, so they were just using nothing was cleaned. It was a mess. So it was actually best if you probably stayed home and tried the remedy your local doctor gave you. This obviously benefited people with more money who could afford to pay a doctor. And if you couldn't afford to pay a doctor, well, you should probably just try not being poor. Clearly it was because poor people were lazy, and lazy people don't deserve to be given the privilege of accessing care that helps them stay alive.
Okay, your thoughts thus far on that video and what she was saying as far as deductibles and how much their premium would have been. Continue.
As you can see, something, and they needed an incentive. This seems like a good idea with good intent. And to that, I say yes. At the time, it was honestly a really decent solution to a problem. But that wage freeze that started this, it stopped. Guess what didn't? The insurance system. Did some people have objections to all of this, saying that this was largely unfair and could be used to manipulate people into staying into low wage jobs or jobs that treated them poorly just for the sake of having health insurance? Of course. So how did private insurance companies who profited the most from the system convince the general public that this was just okay? It's a great question. And to here we can kind of look at the lobbyists and how they positioned all of this. So lobbyists told voters that this was in their best interest. You see, they didn't want socialized healthcare like Germany had, those evil Nazis. Slogans like political medicine is bad medicine were started. And if I may be so bold, this continues to be the fear-mongering tactic we still see to this day. We don't want any kind of socialized medicine. The word communism is thrown around a lot. It's perfect the way it is. It would, a lot of fear around if we changed it, it would be so much worse.
Okay. I'm going to drop this. If anyone has anything they would like to offer to this topic in reference to healthcare and the lack of. And there are a couple of excellent comments made earlier, and I'll go back and revisit them. The first one was from Dubs, who stated, "It is high, but the better insurance you got, the faster they'll see you in the ER. Unfortunately, America is a capitalistic society." And then Dubs also stated, "Health is wealth, in my opinion. You have to invest in full coverage and put down all the bad habits that can lead you to having to use it in the first place. Invest in your body for longevity." And I also mentioned about how some of us, not all, but we've seen people insure the tangibles and put a lot of money on those intangibles. But when it comes to our bodies, in my opinion, some of us, especially as you could see in the first video with the celebrities, they don't do that. And perhaps some of us lay people may not do that. My question is, again, is it because you feel as though you've had no health issues, you don't foresee any, and in my opinion, anything can happen at any time. Sometimes the very worst things can happen at the most unexpected times. And what can we do collectively to ensure that we plan properly for the unexpected, despite increasing costs of food, fuel, and other basic necessities? If we are not healthy, and that includes our mental as well, we cannot be good, in my opinion, to ourselves and each other. So I will leave this link pinned for a couple of moments. If anyone has anything they would like to offer, if not, I will close this out, and the replay will be available for those that choose to listen to it. And there was another good comment from the enemy's public. People put the best gas in their vehicles and the worst so-called food in their bodies. that's frivolous and not proper prioritizing. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And let me see if there was any others that I may have missed. And the enemy's public followed up with a $200,000 chain and no insurance is irresponsible. Absolutely. And I believe, Ryder, that is a very well articulated comment. Absolutely. And thank you for your membership, Ryder, and everyone that has come in. Do you have anything you would like to add, Ryder? And again, I know that you may be at work and may not be able to, but you are certainly welcome to add to the comments. But yes, I thought this was extremely important. Healthcare, the healthcare system. I believe I have very good insurance, but the copays, especially for my medications, it helps, but not as much as one would think. Thank you, Black Edits. And okay, awesome. You be safe out there. Thank you, Black Edits. Any additional comments or your thoughts? Or do you know people that don't have health insurance? And have you had these conversations with your loved ones? Parents, if you are covered, have you made plans to cover your children or perhaps older people in your family? These may not be comfortable conversations, but they need to be had. Because how many of us have seen GoFundMe's spring up all over? And this is not gender nor race specific, where they need help in paying costs for services of loved ones. Oh, thank you, Melly. Welcome, Melly, new member. Appreciate you so much. How many have seen that? To have to initiate a GoFundMe to help finance a loved one's passing and transitioning is, to me, almost as more stress than going through the heartbreak of the initial transition. And again, the lack of planning could play a huge role in this. So again, the link is there. Let me make sure that I recognize all of the members. And again, new member Melly, thank you so much. Thank you, Melly, so much. Appreciate you. Ryder says, GoFundMe is the new way to get paid. It's a new scam. Uh-oh, if you ask me. So I'm going to star that. And unfortunately, Ryder is at work. But I would like, if you're able to, Ryder, in the comment section to elaborate on why you feel I'll put this back up again. Why you feel GoFundMe is the new way to get paid. It's a new scam, if you ask me. Now, many people believe that, but there are families that truly don't have the funds to lay to rest their loved ones. And GoFundMe has been around for so long, that's probably the only option that they may know or are comfortable with. And they may not have friends or other resources to use other than GoFundMe. So I'm not saying that you are wrong. I'm just saying at least old school and maybe some progressives now may have to use that. And I'll see if Ryder is able to respond to that. And anyone, if you have any thoughts on the GoFundMe and the lack of health insurance, not only for people like you and I, but as I showed on the very first video, celebrities that unfortunately passed away owing millions. Some health related, others not. I just thought the amounts were staggering. And I'll wait to see if Ryder responds. And thank you again to everyone that's come in. We're talking about healthcare insurance. And I'll put up these slides really quickly again. Why are people uninsured? And I'm just going to extrapolate some of the paragraph. Many uninsured people cite the high cost of insurance as the main reason they lack insurance. Next, as it relates to age, 3/4 of uninsured are adults between the ages of 18 to 64. Compared with other age groups, young adults are the most likely to go without coverage. And lastly, reflecting geographic variation in income and the availability of public coverage, most uninsured people live in the South or the West. And the reason the reason I say that is, like insurance, it's like someone gets deleted and the first thing they do is start a GoFundMe. Why have life insurance or any insurance when you can start a GoFundMe? I'll star that and I'll reread it. The reason I say that is, it's like insurance. It's like someone gets deleted and the first thing they do is start a GoFundMe. Why have life insurance or any insurance when you can start a GoFundMe? Now, I'm not really sure of all of the intricate details as it relates to GoFundMes. I'm not sure if there are parameters that need to be met, or is that something that you can just start? I'm not sure if there are, as I said, variables or anything that you have to submit to show that your cause is legitimate. I don't know if that's something that you can just begin and people will just donate. I'm not really sure. I don't know if things have changed, but that's a good point. But again, I know of many people that they've fallen on hard times and faced a tragedy where they simply, so it appears, I'll just say that, no other option was available other than the GoFundMe. That's an excellent point. And yes, I have heard that there are people, unfortunately, that use these types of, I'll just say, tactics. But I really hate to believe that everyone would cheat the system, so to speak. I think that's a horrible thing to do, especially if your purpose is to gain funds to help with the finances for homegoing services for your loved ones. Hey, Big Pontiac, how are you? We're talking about health insurance and the lack of, and why is it that it appears that many of us do not have health insurance. And also why some celebrities, I did a video earlier, you can catch the replay, have passed away penniless. Writer says, it was partially sarcasm on my part, but insurance is such a pain with anything. They love to take your monthly payments, but it's hell for them to help when you need it. Absolutely. I can vouch for that. Many of us try, and it's difficult. So, again, sometimes you've got to stretch and plan as most as you can. But just like with roadside assistance, AAA has helped me so many, many times. No, she doesn't, Big Pontiac. And that's what prompted me to do this live. Now, at first glance, and I mentioned this earlier, I found it odd. But then again, I thought, well, maybe not. She's 55. As we get older, not all, but some of us do encounter issues. And we don't know if she had any underlying health issues or not. But being an Olympic idol, it was just surprising to me. But the video that I showed earlier, I think it highlighted maybe 10 to 12 celebrities that passed away penniless. But you're absolutely correct, Big Pontiac. No, her family, her daughters, as a matter of fact, had to, well, they felt compelled to ask for donations to help in financing her health care. And the goal was just $50,000. So they started off at a low, to me, because we know, well, some of us may know how high one night in the hospital could be. So she's in ICU fighting a rare pneumonia. And the first report was she's fighting for her life. But today, she's still in ICU and her breathing is getting stronger. And the goal, which was again initially $50,000, they met and achieved that. So, no. Hey there, Peter. How are you? Happy Saturday. Yes, I am enjoying my weekend, and congratulations to your 49ers. I thought about you in that terrible game. But yes, Big Pontiac, my first thought again was, wow, that's so sad. That's an icon of mine. And then I had to think a little bit more. And I'm not going to go in too much detail. But as I mentioned, we have to be cognizant of some media and what they omit and how it is received by many. And I'll leave that right there. Any more comments? And I'll star this one more time from writer who stated, was partially sarcasm, but insurance is such a pain with anything. They love to take your monthly payments, but it's hell for them to help you when needed. And again, absolutely, I agree with that because I've experienced it. Sometimes they'll ask you for your record number and they'll say, well, you're not in the system. And you have to go through so many hoops sometimes to show. Well, at least I know I had to. Okay, I just made a payment. So how do you not have that in your system? Everything is automated. I have that information. It's crazy. And Peter says, I thought about you too. I expected now see, Peter, I expected a closer game, but I'll take a cowboy butt whooping any day of the week. See, Blackbird got on me earlier, and you turn around and did the same thing to me. That's okay. We will come back one of these days. Big Pontiac says, my health care is about, oh my gosh, let me make sure. You look at that again. I'm going to store that. Big Pontiac says, my health care is about $100,000 a year with physical therapy and meds. Whew. I know that most insurances, and there are good ones out there, the upper tiers are very good, but some of the other lower tiers, especially when it comes to vision and dental, they're not good at all. Wow. Trending Jade, still here. Writer says, I remember when my daughter was intensive care. It was like $800 per day. Insurance covered most, but they wanted her out ASAP. Absolutely. Hi there, April Showers Network. How are you? We're talking about healthcare insurance. Yes, that's why I was really surprised that, and you're walking away on this as well, why the initial, and again, I implore you to do your research on this story. Good, April. Thank you so much for stopping through. You can do your research, but I find it odd that the initial amount that the daughters asked for, according to social media, was $50,000. And I think it's going on 2 weeks, or pretty much going into 2 weeks that she's been in ICU. And you've got to keep in mind, when you're dealing with upper respiratory issues, especially when you're fighting pneumonia, and I can say that there was a point where every year I would get pneumonia. That's why I sound like I do now, like I'm just running out of gas. But of all the years I've been fighting my issue, I have never been intubated. I have never had to have oxygen for more than 5 hours. And I've only been in ICU once. So someone, or many people, definitely prayed over me. Big Pontiac says, Mothers get put out the hospital about 2 to 3 days, depending on if they have a C-section or not. Absolutely. Absolutely. There are times that when I was in the hospital, I was so disgusted in the level of care, at least the way I felt about it. I was taking out the needles and trying to get out of there. You have to, in my opinion, know your body. And if something, and these again are just my opinions, if something doesn't feel right, and we all have those feelings, you do have a right to speak up. And I'm sorry, but I refuse. And I know they got tired of me to be a guinea pig for anyone. I have gone through so much and have come such a long way. I just refuse it. So again, and this is just me, I rely on prayer and a lot of natural healing. Some things I have to rely on, but if I can stay away, if I can literally, where it won't cause me more harm, away from the hospital, then that is what I choose to do. Because humans make mistakes too. Humans make mistakes too. And you have to be careful. Open season, I believe, for many will be November. And if you are covered, make sure you read the fine print and see what coverages are there. And Peter says, healthcare is very expensive. What's sad is some are very expensive and we still get horrible service. Absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. I absolutely love my insurance. However, my primary care physician, I don't care too much for that individual. I love all of my specialists. They know my history. And usually when I contact them, I get a response within 24, latest 48 hours, if that long. But my primary care physician, it may take a week or so. And I've said so many times, if your schedule is that busy that you cannot pick up the phone, or if you cannot go to your email just to respond that you received my message and you'll get in contact with me in such and such amount of time, to me, that is totally unprofessional and unacceptable. Clearly. And Peter says, some appointments take 3 months for some of my family. Absolutely. When you have specialists that you have to go to, you're absolutely right. I can just say that. You may not be able to get in until 2 or 3 months. And you're not going in just for regular blood work. They're checking for everything. Sometimes you may have to have CAT scans or MRIs or the CT scans with contrast. That's where they actually insert the dye within you. So it'll light up and show if there are any issues. It's a lot. So I absolutely understand. It's frustrating. And sometimes there are times where you have everything scheduled, you've made arrangements with your jobs, and that person, the technician or actual specialist, may have had an issue where you have to be rescheduled all over again. And that leaves you with either wasting more time to get into your specialist or having to go to someone that's on call who knows absolutely nothing about your situation. And to me, that's the worst because you'll have to sit there and explain to them your history. Yes, they'll look at your chart briefly, but they've never met you before. They don't know anything about your history. So to me, sometimes, I don't want to say it defeats the purpose, but it makes things a little bit more difficult. And young Riaz is saying facts. And these are just some of the realities when it comes to healthcare. And honestly, I don't think, and I could be wrong, if people even have these conversations as much as they should. Because again, it's about planning for the unexpected. And just as we spoke about earlier, you take care of your vehicles, and your vehicles, as we know, lose value the minute you take it off of the lot. I see people shining their cars up, waxing them down. One little scratch, they're out buffing it up. But are you doing the same things to your bodies? Or do you wait until you go for a normal physical exam? Some of us are afraid to go to and find out, oh, we have such and such. Or as I said, are faced with an unexpected tragedy where plans were not made. Sometimes planning is as small as a conversation. And if you want to dig deeper, we can look at social media as a blueprint, if you will. And again, we all have people that we enjoy listening to and enjoy their content and entertainment. But are we doing the same when it comes to caring for our health and the health of our loved ones? That extra sweet that we get from the store, can we put that back on the shelf and use those funds to open up an insurance policy if we don't have it? Or are we that positive and confident that our health is strong and we won't need it? Young Riaz, I'm not doing that right now. I appreciate that. but I'm not dropping links right now during this broadcast. Thank you. And Peter says, it's okay, young Reyes, you didn't hear me earlier. No problem. This was some very good information. I hope you have a thank you. You too. It's okay, young Reyes, you didn't know. You didn't know. So as I was mentioning earlier, we need to have these conversations. And again, they're not pleasant. They're not pleasant at all. But it is a part of life. Life is a cycle. It's a transition. And we have to learn how to plan and prioritize. So everyone that came in, thank you so much. The replay will be there. If anyone has any comments they would like to add in the 2 videos that I showed about celebrities that passed away penniless, and a brief video that spoke a bit on the U.S. healthcare system and talked about a couple of other countries as well. And what we can do, I would say individually and collectively, to make sure that if and when we're faced with the unexpected, we at least have guidance and resources available if needed. So with that, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Members, please make sure you keep your notification bells on for my next giveaway. And again, you all are appreciated so very much. Enjoy the remainder, yes, young Reyes, you as well, of your Saturday, perhaps Sunday, depending upon where you are. And until next time, you all take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye for now.